Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I've got to tell you, I am absolutely pumped to dive into this one today because we are tackling a massive, incredibly common dilemma. In fact, I'm pretty sure we've all faced it at some point. We're going to figure out exactly how to build a highly successful career when you feel totally paralyzed by just having way too many ideas, too many interests, and too many passions. If you're that person who constantly feels pulled in a dozen different directions, listen up because this one is absolutely for you. Let me ask you this. Are you sitting on a mountain of ideas and passions, but somehow you just feel like you're doing something fundamentally wrong? Like society is constantly telling you to just pick a lane, right? So you end up feeling completely lost, precisely because you want to do it all. It's incredibly frustrating. But hey, let me validate that internal struggle for you right out of the gate. It's not a flaw. It's actually a sign of immense potential, and you are definitely not alone in feeling this way. To get this sorted out, we first have to tackle the absolute biggest myth in career advice. You've heard it a million times, right? Just follow your passion and the money will follow. Well, let's burst that bubble. The reality is that a floating, untethered passion is actually pretty useless for building a solid career. Passion needs a ladder. It requires strategic action. If you just blindly follow a passion without any structured approach, you're not going to end up with a successful career. You're just going to end up burned out and frustrated. Take a look at MS Dhoni, for example. We look at him and think, pure passion for cricket. But actually, scratch that. Look at how he really started. Before he was a legend, he was a ticket examiner on trains. Or think about Elon Musk. We immediately picture him building electric cars and rockets, but before all of that, he was building a city directory and working on a payment solution called PayPal. The takeaway here is that even the absolute legends started with practical, unglamorous, highly strategic steps before hitting their ultimate stride. Now, if you still think the old way works, I've got a truly terrifying number that should wake us all up. 83%. Last year, 83% of engineering graduates were unplaced, meaning they didn't get jobs. That traditional, supposedly safe route of going from school to college to an MBA straight into a corporate job, it's fracturing, especially right now with massive AI layoffs sweeping across thousands of companies. Blindly following that traditional path is no longer the safe bet our parents thought it was. It's time to build a strategy that actually works for you. So where does that start? The foundation, true self-awareness. We need to define self-awareness as the ability to realistically know your limits, just as intimately as you know your strengths. Look, being optimistic and having a grand vision is fantastic, but being completely delusional, that's dangerous. The source material gives a perfect example of this. If you are 5'3", you really shouldn't bet your entire life on becoming a professional basketball player. And it's not about putting yourself down. It's about knowing your realistic boundaries. That way, you can channel your immense energy into an avenue where you actually have a distinct, unfair advantage. To build this kind of rock-solid self-awareness, you need to sit down and ask yourself two essential questions. First, what comes effortlessly to you? Like, what just feels incredibly natural? And second, what do you intensely struggle with no matter how hard you try? You have to lean into your natural gifts. Forcing yourself into a mold that goes against your very nature, like say studying 10 hours a day for an engineering exam when you know you absolutely hate studying, that just leads to extreme societal pressure and ultimately tragic burnout. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself here, because once you have that self-awareness locked in, you are completely ready for the core framework.
The ultimate career formula.
Okay, this is where it gets really good. It's a simple, undeniable equation. Career equals desire plus sense plus action. You see, a career shouldn't just be something you clock into solely to make a quick buck. It absolutely must be an extension of who you are, utilizing those natural gifts we just talked about. For any of your multiple interests to actually become a viable career, they must fulfill all three of these components at the exact same time. Let's break the whole shebang down. Step 1 is desire. What do you actually want to do? What genuinely excites you? Step 2 is sense. Does this make logical sense? Like, are there other people out there right now making a living doing this? And step 3 is action. Are you actually willing to do the hard, grueling work required to execute it? If any of these three get a no from you, then that path simply isn't yours. For example, you might have a huge desire to review mobile phones on YouTube, and it makes total sense because lots of people make money doing it. But if you refuse to take action and actually sit down to film and edit those videos, then no way, that is not a viable career path for you. So how do we apply this in the real world?
Putting the formula to work.
Let's trace our source's personal timeline to see this exact formula in action.
In phase 1, his desire was to make money. The sense was that engineers get paid well, so he took action and studied. But pretty quickly, he realized it wasn't a natural fit. So pivot to phase 2, a new desire. He wanted to earn while still in college. The sense came from seeing older students making money in internships. He took action and landed an internship. Phase 3, his desire for even more income led to blogging and freelancing, which was validated by income reports he saw online. And finally, phase 4, a desire for a truly scalable business led him to build multi-million-dollar e-commerce and edtech companies. Every single lucrative pivot in his life was reliably triggered by applying that simple desire plus sense plus action formula. And here's the best part. Moving through these multiple phases creates an incredible compounding advantage.
The art of skill stacking. This is a real game changer. We call it skill stacking. It's like building a skyscraper, block by block. Having a million different interests isn't a weakness. It's literally your superpower, because your disparate skills compound over time. The lessons you pick up from past phases will fuel massive success in your future endeavors. For instance, our source gave home tuitions early on in his life, which seamlessly stacked to help him build a massive education company years later. He learned how to hire people during his college internships, which stacked perfectly when he needed to build massive teams for his own companies. Nothing, absolutely nothing, is wasted. I mean, just look at the absolute legends. The most unique and iconic careers in the world are simply the result of stacking diverse interests to solve market problems. Look at Steve Jobs. He stacked a totally random college course in calligraphy with technology, and that resulted in the beautiful typography of the Mac. Elon Musk stacked his deep interest in physics with his background in coding to build SpaceX and Tesla. Deepinder Goyal stacked his rigorous IIT background with a very specific, annoying problem of finding restaurant menus, creating the massive empire we know as Zomato. They didn't just have one single interest, they stacked them all together.
Okay, so how do we actually do this today? No more overthinking. Here are the exact actionable steps you need to take right now to filter out all those passions. Step 1, write down every single one of your desires and interests. Get them all on paper. Step 2, filter that list heavily and ruthlessly by sense. Are there success stories out there? Is there actual proof people make money doing this? If not, cross it off immediately. Step 3, look at the survivors on that list and rank your excitement for each one out of 10. You need to pinpoint the absolute winner.
Once you have that winner, and I'm talking even if it beat the others by a tiny 0.1 margin, give it your absolute, undivided focus for the next 6 months. Do not worry about the rest of your interests for now. They aren't going anywhere. Because you've already filtered this through both desire and sense, you will naturally be pulled forward by your passion instead of having to aggressively push yourself to do the work. Just keep acting, keep stacking those amazing skills, and keep growing. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. Out of all your wonderful, scattered, chaotic interests, what is the one desire you are going to relentlessly stock your next 6 months on? Take that formula, desire, sense, and action, apply it to your life today, and start building your very own skyscraper. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and seriously, I cannot wait to see what you build.